The year was 1944. The world was burning under the relentless fire of World War II. In the dense, shadowed forests of France, a group of Allied soldiers was tasked with holding a strategic position against advancing enemy forces. Among them was Private James Carter, a young man barely 20 years old. Though his face was unlined, his eyes carried the weight of countless horrors he had already witnessed. The nights in the forest were the worst, silent yet filled with an eerie tension that made the soldiers jump at every sound. One particularly dark night, as the men sat huddled around a small fire, James heard it, a whisper, faint and mournful. "Help me." He froze, his heart pounding. "Did anyone hear that?" he asked, his voice trembling. Each man another bite his question off as random mental activity before denying him any attention. His comrade spoke calmly. "It's the wind, Carter," while his own voice carried nervousness beneath the words. James was sure the contact came from a human voice. An audible human voice sounded unnaturally close to James' position. Frustrated by this persistent sensation, James accepted the duty as the first guard. Hidden by darkness alone, he listened intently toward the dimly lit fire's fading glow. The forest the shapes moved through the trees like actual living creatures. Then he saw her. The light tricked him initially as he saw something white standing further than the border of trees. When his eyes adjusted to the dark, he saw a young woman with torn garments that displayed a pale luminescence, her expression empty of emotion as she continued to watch him from across the room, while her eyes showed no signs of hope. "Who are you?" James managed to speak in a whisper, but his words became almost invisible. The woman didn't speak. She extended her arm while showing a different direction to the woods. Every movement she made never exceeded a strict methodical pace, yet demonstrated a mystery kind of eagerness. She vanished into the darkness without a word before James could think to do anything surpassing a state of controlled shock. During his first day after seeing the entity, he rushed to tell everyone about his experience. Against his team's doubting stares, he led them to the exact spot where he had encountered the supernatural figure. Moving deeper into the forest produced feeling temperatures drop, along with a growing tension among them. A rough hand-carved wooden cross served as a marker for the shallow burial spot. Soldiers shared uncomfortable looks while throwing away their bold front for a growing feeling of terror. James lowered himself to the grave to clean away the soil until he revealed the dog tags inside. The dog tags displayed a name that belonged to a serviceman who vanished mysteriously several weeks ago. Soldiers concurred he was dead. Their discovery of the grave scene disoriented their group, but military requirements denied them any delay for contemplation. During that night, the opposing forces conducted their unexpected strike. The combat forces stood overwhelmed by enemy forces, which resulted in their hopeless situation deteriorating faster. During the moment of 5:07, the conflict, James managed to spot her for a second time. A spectral figure appeared during combat at the center of the field because her pale illumination managed to penetrate the smoke and darkness. She paused before extending her arm to guide them through an unseen trail beyond the enemy shooting. "Follow her!" He yelled for the group to follow the trespasser, and his words blended terror with usefulness. At first, the soldiers hesitated. Under the imminent threat, James made the soldier entrust him so they could survive. The soldiers stumbled through bushes toward a hidden trench along the designated path. Onslaught found the camouflage of the cover provided critical time for the group to recover before defending themselves. The squad remained silent after the battle because their escape seemed more miraculous than an actual triumph. James, however, knew the truth. He made his way back to the grave at the start of day. With deep gratitude, James knelt before the wooden cross to express his words, "Thank you." He placed a tiny set of flowers he harvested throughout his journey. The female specter materialized to him one last time while he remained standing. The ghost now expressed serenity rather than sadness, with a touching sort of thankfulness. After nodding at James, she disappeared into the morning mist while her warmth lingered across the cold air. After the event, the squad members chose to stay silent about it because they feared public judgment. From that day forward, James maintained the memory throughout his entire lifespan. The battlefields held presence among the living, Yet he recognized benign ghosts of fallen soldiers who stayed behind in their duty. In the chaos of war, the line between the living and the dead blurs. Dead spirits may stick around not to bring harm, but to help living persons find direction through hope and maintain their fight for survival. During bleak times, the presence of departed souls often leads humans toward brighter prospects.